Intro. Hi, this is Loaded Ricky, the Dragon. Do we ever have an incredible story to tell? It may seem like a fish tale, yet it's a dragon's tale. A long time ago, there existed the dragon's world. Mind you, this was over 2 trillion years ago. Your universe existed only around 14.5 billion years ago. You're essentially the new kids on the block. The same nonsense and chaos you experienced the same nonsense we went through. Mind you, it wasn't a pretty picture at times. Dragons can be quite angry and destructive at times. There are many warring factions. It seems like power always comes into play with politics. Power is like cream, it rises to the top of the bottle. Yes, this cream of power almost leads us to our destruction. We had many wars just like you had. At times, we didn't know if our world would survive. We were going from darkness to light, except we didn't know that. We were oblivious of that. We had so many problems we could hardly function as a society. Chaos was in the air. When you are in constant chaos, a society can't make proper decisions. One lives like leaves blowing in the wind. We didn't know that the world could live in the center of a hurricane. We were stressed out dragons. The years of fighting and conflict really got to us. Our stress levels were off the charts. A good night's sleep was rare. This leads to many health issues. We thought this was normal. We accepted our state of mind. Unfortunately, we are playing the same tapes over and over again. We thought this is how one should live. We didn't even know that these tapes were being played. Consequently, when someone would say something we did not like, we would blow up. Mind you, when dragons blows up, it's not a pretty picture. At times, their flames could kill the other dragon. You could say we couldn't control our emotions. The concept of an inner garden didn't even exist for them. They were throwing all their garbage in their inner living room. No wonder they didn't feel good. No wonder they were cranky. Common sense was uncommon. Their world was collapsing. This is where the story gets interesting. You see, help is always there. You are the universe. You just don't know it. Just got up. It's 2:22 in the morning. I'm pondering the meaning from me to we. It seems like man has been living the dream for so long. At times it's been a nightmare. At times it's been a beautiful dream. Man has been repeating the same actions for thousands of years. They constantly repeat themselves. Why does man continue to fight wars? Wars have never solved anything, yet they still continue to this day. Each century, our weapons are more sophisticated. Today, we have weapons that can destroy the world 100 times over. Yet, we still are on the lookout to create even more destruction. I love to watch the geese and ducks fly in the sky. My wife and I love it. They fly in incredible formations and can change and morph in many different patterns on the fly. They are in sync with nature. It seems like they are totally united and flying as one. Personally, I think man's problem stems from the fact that we are so identified on me. My nation is better than your nation. My religion is better than yours. I'm going to heaven while you're going to hell. God is on my side and not on your side. It's all me, and me.
Currently, we have a president who loves to divide the country. He gets a big kick out of this. His tweets. He tweets whatever comes to his mind. He has no ethics whatsoever. You see, when you aren't aware of your true nature, you act in ways that aren't in harmony with the universe. For example, why don't we elect leaders that are kind, loving, and compassionate? Some are, yet our political system is in shambles. We are totally divided. Our political system is at a standstill. Nothing can get done. Blame is put on both sides of the parties. You see, our mentality is us versus them. We have been this way for thousands of years. Emotionally, man has been stagnant for ever so long. Yet we have progressed in technology. Thousands of people have tried to make this world a better place. The spark of the universe lies inside. This book is about how we can transform from me to we. I believe this is our answer. All the great masters talked about this in their beautiful ways. Man thinks that his consciousness only exists in his brain. He has created himself distant from life itself. According to Einstein, E is equals mc squared. Show me then where consciousness does not exist, inside of a flower or a car. The whole universe is alive. Man just thinks he is alone.
Zoran and the Misfits. I have the concept evolution revolution. As a matter of fact, I have a website with that name. It contains a treasure chest of knowledge. One day, a baby dragon was born during the darkest times. This dragon couldn't relate to war, anger, and greed. All the dragons thought he was a misfit. All he wanted to do was have fun. He was extremely intelligent and had a lot of humor. He made other dragons laugh. The elders disapproved of this. When he learned to fly, he would go off alone and soar in the sky. He was free at that moment, not a care in the world. He loved that feeling. Somehow he knew that the true nature of a dragon is true freedom. He discovered that kindness, love, compassion, and patience were his true nature. Well, the elder dragons did not like that at all. They told him he had to stop this nonsense. You see, the other young dragons liked what they were seeing. They loved how Zoran, the young dragon, was turning their lives upside down. They thought that war, anger, and stealing were truly the will. Here, a young dragon, Zoran, walked on a different path and didn't have a care in the world. The universe will always provide what you need. Zoran was receiving inner guidance. Wisdom was all around if you have the eyes to see. You see, this isn't the first time a civilization went from darkness to light. This story has been told for trillions of years. One day, Zoran closed his eyes. Somehow he got the feeling to focus on his breath. Presto! Bing, bing, bing! He stumbled upon something he never knew existed before. He couldn't put it into words, yet he tried. He heard in his book that the ancient ones talked about supreme bliss. They said behind the universe lies the state of existence. Mind you, they believed it was a fairy tale, when in fact it was the truth. So Zoran began to walk the inner journey. Do you remember I say all the time, you are the universe, you just don't know it? Well, Zoran opened up the well of wisdom within. The universe will unveil her secrets when one is ready and has the temperament. This means one learns to focus on the external and at the same time the internal. Slowly, I mean slowly, many other young misfits got involved. And this has to be an underground movement. If their parents discovered what they were doing, that would be the end of that. Read my book on dragon tales to see what I mean. The young dragons would get together and discuss their inner feelings. They would write it down and pass it on to their fellow dragons. Mind you, dragons live to be a dear old age. Some say 5,000 to 10,000 years. Now that's for dragons who don't take care of themselves. A dragon who has his feet on this ground and his head in heaven might live for 100,000 years. The old dragons didn't like this at all, especially the ones in power. Yet nobody knew who was behind all this. It was like the hippie revolution in the 60s. Millions of people got involved. Unfortunately, that moment didn't last long. The seeds were planted and been lying dormant for some time. The young dragons had wisdom on their side. They knew that change happens within. Only those who want to change will. You don't have to try to change anyone. You don't have to try to convert or convince anyone. The truth needs no convincing. The young kids learn how to be like the great Tao. They learn how to flow like water. They became adepts at the mysteries of life. Soon, after many years, the results began to be the norm in society. The old ones died off. The young ones took over. Mind you, there will still be in power who were the young ones who didn't embrace this practice. Yet they eventually got thrown out and were replaced. This started the golden age for dragons. It has lasted since this day. Not much is known about the dragon's world. It is considered a myth. Yet all myths have a basis in truth. Mind you, their world was transformed way before our universe was created. No wonder we don't have any evidence to the contrary.
In the beginning was the Word, before time and space, before creation, before the void, primordial energy, a primordial Word. This Word cannot be spoken. This Word is, was, and will always be. This Word was God, and this Word is God. All scriptures talk about the Word, yet it is beyond the scriptures. All religions talk about the Word, yet it is beyond religion. Science talk about the Word, but it is beyond science. This Word exists inside of you. What is keeping you alive? When you you know this, you will know the answer to this puzzle. Have you ever wondered about the common denominator of all religions? Is there a thread which ties them together? They all believe in some force that is universal, beyond time and space, is, was, and will always be. Some people call it God, generator, operator, and destroyers. The Hindus might say Rama, Vishnu, and Shiva. For the Buddhists, it's Nirvana. For the modern scientist, it's energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Positive, negative, and neutral energy. Is there a common theme? All religions talk about light. If thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. In the Gita, Krishna reveals a light more brilliant than a billion suns. Is that metaphorically speaking? What happens when we split open an atom? The Buddhist has scriptures that talk about a great light upon death. Every religion known to man talks about a light. Every religion talks about the Word of God. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Latin translation of word was logos. Logos means power. In the beginning was an infinite power. This power was with God, and this power was God. Maybe they were talking about the same thing. Is science and religion both talking about the same thing? This word, according to religions, cannot be spoken. According to the Tao beliefs, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. Is there a primordial word or energy that is, was, or will always be? Could this word exist everywhere, beyond time, beyond space, universe, one, verso, word, one word? Could there be a universal frequency that exists everywhere? Before creation, before the war, before anything we can dream of? Is there a way to connect ourselves to that experience? of God can't be spoken and is, was, and always. Aren't they talking about the same experience? Christ said the kingdom of heaven lies within. Buddha talks about the inner kingdom. The Jews talk about the inner kingdom. The Hindus talk about an inner kingdom. The Taoists talk about an inner kingdom. How does one connect to this kingdom? Is the human body wired for this experience? If we are created in the image of our Father, I think He would wire us properly. Human beings, huge, divine, and beings. Maybe all religions were talking about the same experience. Since the advent of the nuclear age, man has discovered that everything has a frequency. We are not just matter. Energy vibrates at a frequency. It creates sound. Could it be that all religions are trying to find the sound of God through their chants, mantras, and prayers? Could these sounds act like a tuning fork which can transform man? What would happen to man if he could vibrate at an infinite frequency? The Buddhists call this nirvana, or being enlightened. The Hindus call this samadhi, or liberation. The Christians call this salvation. All religions talk about this as music, music of the spheres, inner music. Does this music exist inside? So far, we have an infinite energy which exists everywhere. This energy is both light and sound. Science knows that both energy and mass are the same thing. Is there a pure mass which is contained in the whole universe? Is there something that contains inside of you and me? All religions talk about this in abstract ways. Christ talked about manna and the honey of life. The Hindus talked about nectar. Kabir, a famous poet, talks about
When I was young and in India, I heard this incredible poem. There's a palace in the sky without any foundation. A blind man sees a light more beautiful than a million suns. A deaf man listens to the unstruck music. A lame man climbs the ladder and drinks the nectar and gets totally intoxicated. The poem goes on and on. The final clincher is the following. Only a wise man understands what I'm talking about. These aren't just some pretty words. The entire universe exists inside of your heart.
Palace in the sky. O seeker of truth, I have witnessed such a great one. A well suspended in the sky from which ambrosia ceaselessly flows. A lame person climbs to it without any ladder and drinks jugs of that nectar. Gongs, conches, and kettle drums ring out without being played by anyone. The deaf hear them and become ecstatic. They lose track of body and mind. Up there is a palace without foundation, which is radiant with light. The blind seize it and are so overjoyed they can't stop talking about it. In that place, a person dies, yet continues to live and has strength without eating food. Brahmanan says that only a rare soul can understand his tale. Commentary. I first heard this poem when I was 18 years old in India. It made a precious memory inside of me. There is a jewel inside that mankind can discover. Only a wise man understands what I'm talking about.
In the beginning was the Word, before time and space, before creation, before the void, primordial energy, a primordial Word. This Word cannot be spoken. This Word is, was, and will always be. This Word was God, and this Word is God. All scriptures talk about the Word, yet it is beyond the scriptures. All religions talk about the Word, yet it is beyond religion. Science talk about the Word, but it is beyond science. This Word exists inside of you. What is keeping you alive? When you know this, you will know the answer to this puzzle. is, was, and will always be. Some people call it God, generator, operator, and destroyers. The Hindus might say Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. For the Buddhists, it's Nirvana. For the modern scientist, it's energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Positive, negative, and neutral energy. Is there a common theme? All religions talk about light. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. In the Gita, Krishna reveals a light more brilliant than a billion suns. Is that metaphorically speaking? What happens when we split open an atom? The Buddhist has scriptures that talk about a great light upon death. Every religion known to man talks about a light. Every religion talks about the Word of God. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Latin translation of word was logos. Logos means power. In the beginning was an infinite power. This power was with God, and this power was God. Maybe they were talking about the same thing. Is science and religion both talking about the same thing? This word, according to religions, cannot be spoken. According to the Tao beliefs, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. Is there a primordial word or energy that is, was, or will always be? Could this word exist everywhere, beyond time, beyond space, universe, one, verso, word, one word? Could there be a universal frequency that exists everywhere? Before creation, before the war, before anything we can dream of, is there a way to connect ourselves to that experience? What would happen? The Hindus have a saying, Sat Chit Anand. Truth is the consciousness of bliss. When the mind is absorbed in truth, the consciousness is in bliss. Truth is, was, and will always be. If the Word of God can't be spoken, kingdom. The Hindus talk about an inner kingdom. The Taoists talk about an inner kingdom. How does one connect to this kingdom? Is the human body wired for this experience? If we are created in the image of our Father, I think He would wire us properly. Human beings, human, divine, man, being. Maybe all religions were talking about the same experience. Since the advent of the nuclear age, man has discovered that everything has a frequency. We are not just matter. Energy vibrates at a frequency. It creates sound. Could it be that all religions are trying to find the sound of God through their chants, mantras, and prayers? Could these sounds act like a tuning fork which can transform man? What would happen to man if he could vibrate at an infinite frequency? The Buddhists call this nirvana, or being enlightened. The Hindus call this samadhi, or liberation. The Christians call this salvation. All religions talk about this as music, music of the spheres, inner music. Does this music exist inside? So far, we have an infinite energy which exists everywhere. This energy is both light and sound. Science knows that both energy and mass are the same thing. Is there a pure mass which is contained in the whole universe? Is there something that contains inside of you and me? All religions talk about this in abstract ways. Christ talk about manna, the honey of life. The Hindus talked about nectar. Kabir, a famous poet, talks about how one drop of this nectar can make a man totally intoxicated. All wisdom and knowledge exist
Pratyahara. Pratyahara is a combination of two Sanskrit words. Prati, the prefix against or contra, and ahara, brings near, fetch. Pratyahara is drawing one's awareness. It is the process of retracting that sensory experience from external objects. It is not a step. It is a step of self-extraction and abstraction. Pratyahara is not consciously closing one's eyes to the sensory world. It is consciously closing one's mind's process to the sensory world. Pratyahara empowers one to stop being controlled by the external world, fetch one's attention to seek self-knowledge, and experience the freedom innate in one's inner world. Pratyahara marks the transition of yoga experience from the first four limbs of Patanjali's Astanga scheme, that perfectly external forms, to the last three limbs that perfect the yogi's inner static moving from outside to inside, from the outer sphere of the body to the inner sphere of the spirit. I first learned about Pratyahara withdrawal of the external senses in India many moons ago. 49 years ago to be exact. I learned that we have 5 external senses and 5 external senses. Oh, seeker of truth, I have witnessed such a great wonder. A well suspended in the sky from which ambrosia ceaselessly flows. A layman climbs it without any ladder and drinks jugs of that nectar. Gong, conscious, and kettle drums ring out without being played by anyone. The deaf hear them and become ecstatic. They lose track of body and mind. Up there is a palace without foundation, which is radiant with light. The blind see it and are so overjoyed they can't stop talking about it. In that place, a person dies, yet continues to live and has strength without eating food. Brahmanan says that only a rare soul can understand his tale. By closing down the external senses, one begins to develop the internal senses. This is the doorway to discover your true nature. A wise man understands this. One begins to cultivate the inner senses. One begins to realize one's true nature. And instead of just being a physical body, one slowly begins to see that you are the universe inside of a human body. One begins to see the harmony in all things. Most people's senses are always external. We think happiness exists outside of ourselves. Therefore, we chase the carrot on the stick. Our happiness is dependent on the external, which always changes. Therefore, our happiness will come and go. That is the nature of things. Everything comes and goes. Just think, you are the universe. You just don't know it. Yet every night, when you go into the deep sleep, you go back to the source. You just aren't aware of it. The more one meditates and consciously withdraws the external senses, one will advance on the journey of life. It's ironic that the human body is wired and has the software for discovering the jewel within. It's been there the entire time since you were born. Yet it is enigmatic and foreign to us. Most humans refuse to even recognize it. Don't go there. I don't want to hear about this. Don't tell me what to do. You're trying to convert me. Look, There's nothing to convert to. This is your true nature. A wise man learns there are infinite levels of withdrawing the external senses. We are always fine-tuning the guitar of life. We can never rest on our laurels. In fact, thinking you have laurels won't take you very far on this journey of life. One must become humble and in harmony with life. The sun in the sky doesn't boast and say, "Worship me. Without me, you wouldn't be alive." The sun in the sky just shines. The more one withdraws the external senses, one becomes to be in harmony with life. The ego must be left behind. There are safety mechanisms set into place. The ego can take you so far, and then it reaches a wall and can't go further. Only a child at heart can enter the kingdom of heaven. Remember, you are the piece of this puzzle. Discover your true nature. Learn how to meditate and withdraw your external senses.
I have studied meditation for fun for a very long time. I have learned the following. Just like we have 5 external senses to be in this world, we have 5 internal senses to be in God's world. The kingdom of heaven is within. We are born to be hardwired with God. There is so much of God just contained in our DNA. We were created to experience so much more than what we have. Our car is just sitting in the garage. All the great masters have said, go within. Use your internal senses and experience God. There's a light to see. This light is pure love. Listen to the ringing in your ears. This will help start your journey. Be your breath. Feel the power of love. The universe is behind your breath. This is not just some theory. Millions of people are experiencing this in this moment. You can solve this puzzle. Open up your eyes. I don't know why people pass this up. We are all searching for happiness externally. We get glimpses of happiness, yet it disappears like a thief in the night. There is no conversion or convincing. The facts are laid out. The kingdom of heaven is within. It doesn't matter if you follow religion or not. The facts are laid out. The kingdom of heaven lies within. It doesn't matter your background. Nobody cares about your race. We are one after all. All we are saying is your car is sitting in your garage getting dusty. You have the opportunity to take your car for a spin. Become a race car driver. Your car was meant to be driven. There are signposts of God everywhere. No matter where you go, God is there. He even knows what you are thinking. Oh, how can God know me? He has so many more important things to maintain. The power of love knows you more than you know yourself. It knows your true essence. At times when you're driving, put your cell phone down. Just enjoy the ride. Take time to relax on this journey. The more you pay attention inside, the more signposts of God will appear in your life. You will see the universe is alive. There are signposts of God everywhere. You can solve this puzzle. It's time for a new act. Mankind has been acting for a very long time. It seems we have been performing for a very long time. It's like the record we are playing is always repeating itself. War, war, and war. Anger, anger, and anger. For centuries, we have played the same track. It's time for a new track. Let's drop these old energies forever. Let's embrace peace, love, and tolerance. Be kind. Be thoughtful towards your fellow man. Learn from your mistakes. There is a new way to act within this divine play. Discover your new role. Become one with it. Perfect it. You will have solved your piece of the puzzle. One by one, peace will be unearthed.
Pratyahara commentary. The dragons slowly, over time, learned how to withdraw their eternal senses. It was just a matter of time. The more one practices, the easier the process occurs. It feels so good to withdraw the external senses. One can leave the world behind. Mind you, during their early training, they were at war with one another. Same situation as today. They even had 5 world wars. The 5th one was ravaging all around their world. This is where their story begins. The future looks bleak. For many dragons, not an ounce of hope was in the air. The balloon of life was deflated. Fortunately, they found shelter inside of them. They discovered their inner home. When they started to withdraw their senses, they discovered that we are in essence one and the same. They understood the thread that is tying us all together. Many of these dragons were drafted to fight, whether they liked it or not. Over 90% of the warriors learned how to meditate during this time. They even had underground meetings with their opponents. They were trained in these unseen arts. Consequently, they had the same experience of the unity of all within. The dragons discovered
They were in fact sawing off the branch they are sitting on. War never leads to good options in life. In fact, it leads to misery for all. Nobody wins a war. Everyone loses in the end. With these realizations, the dragons dropped their warring ways. They refused to fight one another. Those in power who still supported fighting were taken out of office and never to return. Among all dragons, they were tired of constant fighting. They were tired of seeing their loved ones never returning from the battlefield. Most of the world didn't even know why they were fighting, yet were told it was an honor and duty to fight. These times brought the dragons to embrace kindness, patience, tolerance, compassion, and bliss towards all. They learned how to transform from darkness to light.
Pranayama. Alternate nostril breathing. 1 4 of pranayama. Pranayama is the control of the breath, from the Sanskrit prana, breath, and amana, restraint. After a desired posture has been achieved, the verses recommend pranayama, the practice of consciously regulating the breath inhalation, the full pause, exhalation, and the empty pause. This is done in several ways, such as by inhaling and then suspending exhalation for a period, exhaling and then suspending inhalation for a period, by slowing the inhalation and exhalation, or by consciously changing the timing and length of the breath, deep, short breathing. Most Westerners don't breathe properly. Just think, the moment we take our first breath to the moment we take our last breath, there is a power that is keeping us alive. Yet the majority of mankind is not aware of it. In fact, we are completely oblivious to it. Due to the stress in our life, we have forgotten how to breathe properly. If you want to observe incredible breathing, watch a newborn. They naturally practice deep or diaphragmatic breathing by using the diaphragm, a muscle under the lungs, to pull air into the lungs. Visually, you see the belly expand and chest rise as they inhale through the nose and into the lungs. As they exhale, the belly contracts. For many people, this kind of breathing is no longer instinctive. Instead, many of us have become shallow chest or thoracic breathers, inhaling through our mouths, holding our breath and taking in less air. Over time, our breathing patterns have shifted as a reaction to environmental stressors like temperature, pollution, noise, and other kinds of anxiety. Cultural expectations, including the desire to have a flat stomach, encourage holding our breath and sucking in our stomachs, further tighten our muscles. When we breathe in a shallow way, the body remains in a cyclical state of stress. Our stress causing shallow breathing, and our shallow breathing causing stress. This sets off the sympathetic nervous system, the branch of the autonomic nervous system that prides us for activity and response. Shallow breathing doesn't just make stress a response. It makes stress a habit our bodies and therefore our minds are locked into, says John Lockvich, an apprentice and integrative breathwork facilitator in Brooklyn, New York. My personal advice before one begins this practice is to, before you begin, to make sure you are breathing properly. If you're still breathing through your chest or your mouth, spend 3 weeks learning how to breathe properly. I would advise anyone to spend 3 weeks meditating and focusing on their breath. Do this from this moment on. This is the key to life. Without this, your practice won't take you far. There is a power that is keeping you alive. Behind your breath lies the keys to life. So what does this breathing exercises do? There are 72,000 nadis, or energy channels, in the human body. The following is a passage from Sadhguru. Sadhguru, within the spine, if you know its physical construction, you will know there are 2 holes on either side of the spine, which are like conduit pipes for all the nerves to pass. This is the Ida and the Pingala, the left and right channels. In the Prana Mashkoshka, or the energy body, there are 72,000 nadis. The 72,000 nadis spring from 3 basic nadis, the left, the right, and the central, the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. The word nadi does not mean nerve. Nadis are pathways or channels of prana in the system. These 72,000 nadis don't have a physical manifestation. In this sense, if you cut your body and look in, you will not find them. But as you become more aware, you will notice the energy is not moving at random. It is moving in established pathways. There are 72,000 different ways in which the energy or prana moves. The Pingala is the right or masculine energy channel. The Ida is the left or feminine energy channel. Starting from the left nostril, there are 36,000 nadis or energy channels. Starting from the right nostril, there are 36,000 nadis or energy channels. Pranayama is a breathing exercise that cleanses the Ida and the Pingala. This exercise will help balance the mind and body. When the breath gets calm, the mind and body will get calm. One begins to enter into a state of calmness and being in harmony with the mind, body, and soul connection. How to do alternate nostril breathing. Sit in a comfortable position with the spine long and the hips relaxed. Release any tension from your jaw. Close your eyes. Place your left hand on your left knee with the palm face upward, or in the chin mudra by pressing the index finger and thumb together. Place the tip of the index finger and middle finger of the right hand in between the eyebrows with the ring finger and little fingers on the left nostril, and the thumb on the right nostril. Use the ring finger and little finger to open and close the left nostril, and use the thumb for the right nostril. On an exhalation, close the right nostril with your thumb and breathe out through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril and then close with the ring finger. Release the thumb on the right nostril and breathe out through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Close with the thumb. Release the ring finger from the left side and exhale through the left nostril. These 2 full breaths are called 1 round of alternate nostril breath. Perform 5 to 9 rounds of this alternating breath between the nostrils. Remember to always inhale through the same nostril you just exhaled through. There are many variations of this technique. Some hold their breath between breaths. Mind you should never use force. Breathe naturally. Over time, the breath will be sweet and calm. How to do alternate nostril breathing. Sit in a comfortable position with the spine long and the hips relaxed. Release any tension from your jaw. Close your eyes. Place your left hand on your left knee with the palm face upward, or in the chin mudra by pressing the index finger and thumb together. Place the tip of the index finger and middle finger of the right hand in between the eyebrows with the ring finger and little fingers on the left nostril and the thumb on the right nostril. Use the ring finger and little finger to open and close the left nostril and use the thumb for the right nostril. On an exhalation, close the right nostril with your thumb and breathe out through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril and then close with the ring finger. Release the thumb on the right nostril and breathe out through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Close with the thumb. Release the ring finger from the left side and exhale through the left nostril. These two full breaths are called one round of alternate nostril breath. Perform 5 to 9 rounds of this alternating breath between the nostrils. Remember to always inhale through the same nostril you just exhaled through. There are many variations of this technique. Some hold their breath between breaths. Mind you should never use force. Breathe naturally. Over time, the breath will be sweet and calm. Now, continue this exercise. It will only be a few minutes.
The breath. It's kind of sad. The majority of mankind takes the breath for granted. Yes, we breathe in and breathe out. That's so common to us. We do this in each and every moment. What could be more common? We all breathe. Yet behind our breath is a power that keeps the entire universe alive. You are the universe. You just don't know. The power behind your breath is keeping you alive. You have the potential to connect to this source. In essence, this is your true nature. Many of the great masters taught this. They taught to meditate upon your breath. It takes baby steps. At first, you may not seem to feel or see anything. Have patience. The mind is like a tuning fork. It takes time to tune in to the frequencies of life. This frequency is pure love. Day by day, simply follow your breath. Year by year, simply follow your breath. Decade by decade, simply follow your breath. Your breath will set you free. Your breath will reveal your true nature while you are alive. I know it sounds so simple. It is. Yet we make life so complicated. The truth can be there all the time. Yet we are trained to look outside of ourselves. The jewel has always been hidden under our pillow. This is where God hides, inside of you. This is the greatest hide-and-seek game. Ponder the soul. You can solve this puzzle.
Breathing through your mouth. I was in India many moons ago, over 47 years. I remember hearing people talk about the various kinds of breaths. In our Vedic lore, breathing through your mouth is the kiss of death. Our breath is a complicated system. Scientists are just beginning to study the effects of breathing. They have found out when a person starts to breathe through the mouth, the fight or flight syndrome takes over. What does that mean? It means your body is being flooded with over 1,500 different chemicals. Many of these in a short term is beneficial. Yet, for many Americans, the faucet can't be shut off. Reinforce this situation by improper breathing. In the East, this has been known for thousands of years. This is why the foundation for so many meditation practices is the breath. They understand the practical mechanics of breathing through the nose. There is life force within that is keeping you and the universe alive. Our Western day understanding for the general public is lacking. I say common sense is uncommon because our lifestyles don't reflect it. We are totally off balance. No wonder we have all our ailments today. Ponder this over. Fine-tune your radio station. You're listening to an old station. This station is reinforcing all your bad habits. There's a signal from God and the universe that is playing. Listen to KGOD. This signal is broadcasted from within. It is clear and constant. You just have to tune your mind to this signal. In each and every breath you take, fine-tune your inner radio to this signal. All the great masters have said that the kingdom of heaven lies within. This is probably the most practical thing you can do for yourself. What is keeping you alive? The more you concentrate on this signal, the more powerful and clear it will be. This is your true nature. This signal is like a magnet. It draws kindness, love, and compassion to you. It's like taking a shower of love. This love fills your entire being and slowly washes away all the negativity. This radio station is live. It has been broadcasting for eternity. When you are driving and talking on your cell phone, you aren't paying attention to life. What is so important? What is so important externally that you have forgotten your true nature? Why do you insist that the external world is the only world? For now, you might say, because that's all there is. Well, someday you will die, and it will totally disappear in an instant. This radio station will make you laugh at life. It will bring you to a place where anger and hate will not govern you. Kindness and compassion will be there. I'm not saying you won't ever get angry again. I'm saying that with conscious effort, you can use water to put out the anger in your life. Your mind is looking externally to fix your inner world. Mankind has been running in circles for thousands of years. Look at the political landscape in America today. Anger and chaos rules the land. Fine-tune your radio station. You are a piece of the puzzle.
Pranayama. Commentary. Things are about to get extremely interesting. They have reached the point of discovering the chakras and the 72,000 nadis, or channels in the body. David and the dragons, along with his crew, help map out this sacred wisdom. It seems like this system is almost identical to the human race. This is where the dragons truly start to transform. Using the chakra systems, Tumo, the sacred drops, the nadis and channels, they begin to use sacred alchemy. Just think, the more aware society is, the better the external will be. This couldn't be more than the case for the dragons. When the war stopped, the ones in power who caused all this mess were forced to resign. A democratic system was put into place. The dragons installed a voting system for all. Anyone could run for office. Only a certain amount of money was allocated to each person in the office. There was only 1 month to campaign. The world at large reached a tipping point where they could sense anyone who was in it for power and control, not the people. You see, power and control have an awful odor. You may say, why didn't we smell it before? Well, if your garbage was thrown in your inner living room, you might get used to that smell. In the same way, when the general society cleans house, the odor eventually goes away. So yes, one could smell a person who only wants power and control a mile away. This totally transformed the world. The Golden Rule was the motto for the dragons for over 2 trillion years. The following comes from my book, Dragon Tales, which talks about the creation of Shambhala, a sacred world with humans and dragons living together.
The Golden Rule. The main motto for the dragon world was as follows: do not impose on others what you do not wish for yourself. In the Bible it is written, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. They both mean the same thing. Kindness was the name of the game. The world needs kindness. Confucius was a young boy when he started learning from the dragons. He was an exceptional student and became a great teacher to man. He studied for around 10 years and then was sent to China to bring greater wisdom to all walks of life. The Golden Rule was the foundation of his teachings. Today, many people know him by Confucius says, but he is far more than that. He knew the laws of the universe and tried to convey them to man. He was one of the first Chinese to directly talk and teach about ethics to people of all sorts of life. He even held political posts where his message could be heard. Confucianism is very much alive today in China. Mind you, this was 600 years before Christ. Confucius introduced many people to the dragon's teachings. He didn't use the dragons as a reference point. People weren't ready for that, yet he gave many blessings to thousands of people to live and study with the dragon. They got a precious letter introducing them to the dragons. Confucius signed the letter, so the dragons and man knew that Confucius endorsed the student. Also, Confucius would help people who had lost their homes in times of war. China was struggling. Chaos was all around. Thousands of people were helped by him. The underground dragon world leaped in bounds with thousands of refugees and students arriving. The dragon world was smart. They knew that this was going to happen. As you know, they prepared for the future. Each person and family was given a precious house to live in. Mind you, it would be like today, each person was given a mansion by today's standards. These refugees thought they were given the keys to heaven. They were provided with new clothes, shelter, and food. Little Ricky, the dragon, helped in preparing the food for all the refugees and newcomers. Each day, an incredible banquet would appear for the people. There was so much love in the air. They were all treated with the highest respect and honor. They were treated with dignity. We need that so much in America today. The dragons didn't kick anyone out. Currently in America, you could be living here for over 40 years and be deported. In fact, none of the people wanted to leave. They never saw so much harmony in their lives. The dragons and locals were so kind. The Golden Rule was alive in this world. Every action was driven by this rule. You see, it truly didn't have to be forced upon. Everyone who lived there experienced such a unity. According to Sima Quan, a historian at the time, relates how a young Confucius went to visit Lao Tzu. The story goes he asked a question about history. This is Lao Tzu's response. Those about whom you inquire have molded with their bones into dust. Nothing but their words remain. When the hour of the great man has struck, he rises to leadership. But before his time has come, he is hampered in all that he attempts. I have heard that the successful merchant carefully conceals his wealth and acts as though he had nothing, that the great man, though abounding in achievements, is simple in his manners and appearance. Get rid of your pride and your many ambitions, your affliction and your extravagant aims. Your character gains nothing for all these. This is my advice to you. The story goes that Confucius was so impressed by the old master, Confucius compared him to a great mythical dragon and took his advice to heart. Soon after this meeting, Confucius joined the dragon world and found his true calling. Lao Tzu. One of the earliest students was Lao Tzu. He was truly a man of nature. He spent a considerable amount of time with the dragons. Even at a young age, he was wise beyond his time. Even the dragons were amazed at his knowledge and wisdom. At times, it seemed that his wisdom was beyond theirs. Mind you, these dragons were thousands of years old. Lao Tzu was only around 10 years old. Needless to say, there was great friendship and understanding with each other. At that time, China and Tibet couldn't understand the simplicity of Lao Tzu and the dragons. Lao Tzu really didn't care about politics and worldly affairs. He hardly ever went to cities. They were a complete distraction. Man wasn't open to wisdom or knowledge at this time. So Lao Tzu spent a lot of times with the dragon of nature. You see, Lao Tzu could see the unity of all life. There is a story when Lao Tzu was going to leave this world, a small group approached him high in the mountains. They begged for some insight and wisdom. Today, we are the Tao Te Ching, one of the greatest books today. Lao Tzu went with some dragons and never returned. His wisdom is still alive today. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The name is the mother of the 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mysteries. Ever desiring, one sees the manifestations. These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. The Tao means the path or the way. It is a universal principle that exists in the entire universe. The creation of galaxies and man spring forth from the Tao. As the poem above says, the Tao that is spoken is not the eternal Tao. Remember that speaking about a mango is not a mango. You must eat a mango to understand. Lao Tzu got much wisdom studying with the dragons. As a boy, he was wise beyond belief. Many people thought his wisdom came directly from the stars. Many people thought he was wise as a dragon. Now that's impressive. This is the following main themes that Lao Tzu presented to this world. True wisdom does not come from books.
You can study all the great books in the world, yet you will have bookish knowledge. Remember, a book describing a mango is not the mango. You must eat a mango to understand. Day by day, taking baby steps, one develops intuition to understand the great Tao. It is a practical experience, not merely reciting words. The dragons were expert in this field. Two dualities exist in the universe. There is a push-pull energy that exists in the entire universe. For every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. There is darkness, there is light, there is life, there is death, there is hot, there is cold, there is peace, there is war. Everything has a duality. 3, there is humility. A wise man understands this. A wise man knows the more you know, the more humble you get. The sun in the sky just shines. It doesn't have anything to prove. The West think they have all the answers and try to prove it to you. Arrogance and the ego is not part of humility. All the great wise teachers were humble. At this point, the people and dragons in Shambhala were humble. Humility is entwined with the universe. 4th is simplicity. 'Tis a gift to be simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where I ought to be. And when I'm in the place just right, I will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, I will not be ashamed. To turn will be my delight, till by turning, I come round right. This is a song that everyone would sing in Shambhala. To understand the universe, you must be simple. A man whose mind is complicated will never see the light of day. But Jesus the Christ said these following words: I tell you the truth, it is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. We are living in a world that is extremely complicated. The youngsters hardly have an opportunity to kick back and relax. Their parents have them perform so much after school activities, they don't have the time to think. In fact, if you mention a more simple life, many people will glare you in the eye. 5th, give for only giving. If you give and expect to receive anything, that is not truly giving. You may get disappointed in the end. Give like a fruit tree. A fruit tree does not expect anything in return. Its nature is giving. Likewise, the nature of the universe is giving. The wise man flows with the universe. His actions come from the universe. It requires no conscious thought or effort. 6, action within inaction. If you ever saw how we as a humanity is running on the treadmill of life and never getting anywhere, we have governments that try to help, but they are sinking in quicksand. Everyone is trying to swim upstream. The wise man understands the laws of nature and lets the river glide him downstream. No effort is needed. It seems like today, the more effort we take, the greater the struggle is in life. Most of the great masters of the past understood this key point. They knew the less one did, the more you accomplished. They were in sync with the laws of the universe. Meditation is an art to go inside and discover these practical laws. Everyone can be a Harry Potter. You are a true wizard. Last but not least, violence and conflict will never solve anything. It will not provide fruits on the tree of life. Violence and war are obsolete. How many times does mankind have to go on the same merry-go-round? Around and around we go. It's like a broken record. Around and around and around we go. War, war, and war. The only way out of this mess is to embrace the universe. The jewel lies inside of your heart. It doesn't matter who you are and what you've done in life. You can change for the better. You have free will. With your free will, you can use it to find your true nature. Remember, you are the universe. You just don't know it. The Christ. There have been many rumors on the lost years of Christ. We hear stories when he was young, and then fast forward 30 years, we hear about his mission. Many people ask that question for thousands of years. The East has a particular soft spot for the Christ. Many of the following countries said he came out and spent some time learning about the sacred laws. Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Tibet, and Egypt all have records and documents explaining the Christ coming and visiting for a period of time. Christ heard about the dragon's world and was quite fascinated by it. He heard the dragons and man lived in harmony for thousands of years. By now, over 2 million people live there. It was the most sophisticated city known to man, yet for the majority of people, it was a myth. Some of the high lamas in Tibet introduced Christ to Shambhala, who was in the Tibetan's backyard, yet it was so hidden you could never find the entrance if you weren't welcome. You see, still at that time, there were gangs of robbers and thieves. It was the Wild West, but it was the East. When Christ entered the grand complex, he couldn't believe what he saw. Dragons were flying in the sky, and he saw a vast modern city. In fact, it would make any city today pale in comparison. You see, this world combined the spiritual path and the practical path. Together, these were central cornerstones. Kindness and the golden rule existed all around. Love, kindness, and compassion were in the air. It was so strong, almost like a magnetic energy. You couldn't help but not feel it. Christ was overwhelmed. He saw a state of heaven on earth. He knew he was home. All the dragons and man welcomed him like a brother. They made him feel he was home. Many great banquets were held in his honor. Laughter and humor filled the air. The dragons and man introduced him to the great mystery school.
He spent 10 years studying and learning. Mind you, the dragons have been there for over 5,000 years. They have an incredible amount of knowledge to share. This was the most evolved mystery school in the land. Imagine having a city over 2 million and having no crime, no police force or military, no greed nor war. Anger was gone thousands of years ago. You see, the universe is not angry. Man is. The universe is kind. All the dragons and man knew to be aware, moment by moment, the grand power of love. This love sustains the entire universe. Everyone wanted to be there. Everyone expressed the love in their own unique ways. You didn't have to look a certain way or have a particular lifestyle. All were accepted. All those man's negative ways was long ago forgotten. You could pray and meditate any way you like. Each person and dragon had their own particular ways. Tolerance in others was a way of life. The golden rule existed in every molecule of life. To be honest, Christ didn't want to leave. He was truly home. Yet he knew he had a mission to bring these same concepts to mankind. The world needs love and compassion. The world needs to find the jewel inside. During those years, Christ grew in leaps and bounds. He looked at his state of awareness when he came and when he left. There was a difference between night and day. Even the Son of God grows every day. Christ knew that you could never stop learning. Even the universe is continuing to expand and grow. As you know, Christ went back home to Israel and started his message. His main theme was the kingdom of heaven lies within. The Romans weren't quite open to that message. They were the rulers of the time. The Romans were quite ruthless and caused an incredible amount of violence throughout the land. The ultimate punishment was putting an innocent man on the cross. This was the dark ages of mankind. Fast forward today, when it's still the dark ages. Peace will come on this earth. The world should have been blown up by now. A new dawning has occurred. Man will discover his true nature. Man will find the jewel in him. Mark my words, millions of people are waking up. The sunrise is occurring in man. Christ's message will never die. It is eternal. There is so much hope. Remember that the city of Shambhala is still alive. You can solve this great mystery by looking inside.
Let's have fun. Boy, did the dragons and man know how to have fun. They had a stadium that could seat the entire population of 2 million. They had all sorts of events going on. Everything from musical concerts, poetry reading, group meditations, and so much more. Everyone loved coming to the station. Each week, something new occurred. For the city of 2 million, you could never get bored. People ultimately came from all around the world. Everyone would love to see such diversity. The music scene was unreal. There are hundreds of varieties of music. You see, music comes from the universe, and each person has a unique way to express it. The children who loved to go to the parks around town. Each child would point towards the sky and create a rainbow. Each rainbow had a certain melody that was playing. So imagine 100 children creating an orchestra in the sky. Bach and Beethoven would have been proud. Adults would love to gather in the park every morning and do Tai Chi and Qigong. Imagine this practice is still done in China today. Every adult was an incredible master. Any one of them could have led the class. They learned when they hardly knew how to walk. Grace and precision led the way. The dragons gave the youngsters incredible roller coaster rides. Imagine a roller coaster that was alive and screaming and laughing with you while you're on your ride. After the ride, the youngsters would bow to the dragons with delight. You see, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This was their initiation into the oneness between man and dragons. It was quite the initiation. The youngsters knew how to treasure the inner and outer worlds at a young age. The poetry reading was a hit for all age levels. People would gather at the cafes drinking their teas and partying to the night. They were enamored by the spoken and unspoken word. The poet knew how to truly communicate. Of course, the youngsters loved the storytellers. Every Friday night, all across the city, stories were told in public places. Imagine hearing stories that have been told for thousands of years. Each week, a new story could be told. Something incredible was always going on. The youngsters never grew tired about hearing about their ancestry and the ancient stories. These storytelling sessions were like watching TVs. The kids would close their eyes, and incredible visions would appear to them. It was as if they were a part of the story being told. It's hard to describe, but when they went back in time and they could witness the story taking place. All this wisdom was captured inside. You see, each dragon and man knew how to tap into the DNA of life. Imagine the entire encyclopedia of the universe was stored in your DNA. A part of your DNA is quantum. In our world today, we don't have an instrument to detect it yet, but we will. This is the building blocks of the universe. Everyone loved to learn about science. In the West, we have learned to disconnect from it. Only a few people in our present-day world are interested. Back then, they didn't have science deniers. Each person realized the laboratory existed inside of them. The universe was open and willing to hand out her secrets. No matter what your age was, you were extremely inquisitive about life. The food scene was quite unreal. Today you go to a restaurant and enjoy a fine meal. Yet behind the scenes, chaos is happening. Anger and frustration for the many cooks are going into the food. Disharmony is everywhere. Profits are to be made. The quality and ingredients can be marginal. The dragons would not believe watching Top Chef. You ever stop and watch? It's quite a different world from theirs. The dish may look good, but it's plastic in comparison compared to the dragon world. You see, in the dragon world, love, kindness, and compassion is the main ingredient. Without that, your dish is not worth serving. You may have the best ingredients in the world, but without love and kindness, your dish is not worth eating. The dragon world was 1,000 times more advanced in the makeup of energy throughout the universe. Anger and frustration literally are harmful to the human body. The disease occurs when the human body is not balanced between the mind, body, and soul. We have so much to learn today. At the Dragon World restaurants, the cooks and chefs knew this. They knew all about food. It came from their DNA. Each dish was served from their DNA knowledge. A family would walk in, and each chef knew exactly what combinations of ingredients to make a meal for each member at the table. Imagine the cooks and chefs having a very good old time. Singing, laughter, and humor were in the air. They cooked their meals as if the Lord himself was going to dine there. In their eyes, it was. Everyone was having a grand time. Celebrations were in the air. Each restaurant had a different flair to it. You could never get bored. Every day was a celebration of life. Everyone looked forward when new refugees came. They wanted to bestow upon them the blessings of life. Many of them had to escape for their lives. War is a tragedy. It can mark scars for life. Every refugee was bestowed with kindness. To be a matter of fact, it didn't take long for their worst memories to go away. Each newcomer was treated with utmost respect, not unlike America today.
For over 5,000 years, the Indians have discovered flower petal-shaped vortexes of energy lying across 7 different areas on our spinal column. These chakras are definitely directly connected to the endocrine system of glands. These chakras are responsible for distributing energy through the body. When there is a blockage, disease will occur. In our next chapter, we will talk about the Chinese discoverer of meridians. I won't go through the specifics of each chakra. Here's a general overview of each one. The following information came from color-meanings.com. The root chakra. The Sanskrit word for this chakra is Muladhara chakra. Mul means root. The chakra colors associated with the root chakra is red. The root chakra defines our relationships to Earth. It impacts our vitality, passion, and survival instincts. The red chakra colors are also indicative of our need for logic and order, physical strength, and sexuality, as well as the fight or flight response when faced with danger. The sense of smell in the human body is connected to the root chakra. The gland to which the root chakra is affected is the gonads. The sacred chakra. The chakra colors associated with the sacral chakra is orange. This chakra relates to the water element in the human body. The chakra colors are orange, which impacts sexuality, reproductive function, joy, desire, and even creativity, compassion for others. The sense of taste is associated with the sacral chakra. Glands and organs impacted by this chakra include the lymphatic system, female reproductive organs, large intestine, pelvis, and bladder. The solar plexus chakra. The Sanskrit word for this chakra is Manipura chakra. which literally translate to City of Jewels. Thus, the solar plexus chakra is the personal power chakra that is responsible for one's personal and professional success. The chakra colors, yellow, of this energy vortexes are associated with fire, energy, change, etc. This element of fire, when balanced and harmonious, allows one to feel more confident, cheerful, and energetic, along with the right amount of respect for self and others. Our sense of sight is associated with the solar plexus chakra. The glands or organs associated with the solar plexus chakra are the adrenal glands. The heart chakra. Anahata chakra, or the heart chakra, is associated with the chakra colors green. This chakra influences our relationships and has the air element. A weak heart chakra is responsible for sabotaging the relationships through distress, anger, and envy, etc. The sense of touch is impacted by the heart chakra, and the glands connected to it are the thymus and lymph. The throat chakra. The Vishuddha chakra refers to our true voice. As the name suggests, the throat chakra, with its chakra colors blue, is associated with the ability to communicate, listen, etc. The glands to which the throat chakra is attached are the esophagus, ears, throat, thyroid, jaws, teeth, and neck vertebrae. The etheric element of the throat chakra, when balanced, allows an individual to have pleasant voice, artistic abilities, expressive ways, and also ability to be in a higher place spiritually. The individuals with a balanced throat chakra are able to meditate well and use their energy efficiently and artistically. The third eye chakra, the Anja chakra, literally translates to center of knowing or monitoring. This chakra is associated with the chakra colors indigo and is connected to the pineal or pituitary gland. Those with a well-balanced brow chakra can have telepathic abilities, charismatic personality, and they often do not have any fear of death. The element of electricity or telepathy, along with the chakra colors of indigo, are associated with our sense of thought. The crown chakra. This chakra is known as Sahasrara chakra in Sanskrit and is associated with the chakra colors of violet or purple. The crown chakra is associated with the pituitary gland, nervous system, and the brain and head region with its elements of light. In its balanced state, this chakra can render individuals the ability to perform miracles, transcend the laws of nature, and have a heightened awareness of death and immortality. Now, according to the great masters and mystics, the journey begins at the base of the spine. There lies the Ida and the Pingala nerve. Imagine a column called the Sushumna, which is not physical, which goes from the bottom of the spine. Here's a definition of the Sushumna from Wikipedia. Sushumna, very gracious, kind, runs along the spinal cord in the center through the 7 chakras. Under the correct conditions, the energy of Kundalini is said to uncoil and enter Sushumna through the Brahma Dwara or Gate of Brahma at the base of the spine. The Shiva Chamanta Treaty on Yoga states, for example, that out of 350,000 nadis, 14 are particularly important, and among them, the 3 just mentioned are the 3 most vital. It seems to me that God hardwired each individual human being, to help discover his true nature. The journey begins at the base of the root chakra. Here, the consciousness of me, and me reside. The human being is existing in a state of survival mode. The goal in life is to master each chakra and ultimately arrive at the crown chakra and enter its doors. At this state, one will realize that I am the universe. We are all one. This is our true state of existence. We are all one huge, gigantic family. Each one is responsible for discovering our true nature. The world would be in a better place if we all did this. Ponder this over. So you think that you are hardwired to find God? Maybe in time. Maybe it's time to use your inner key to start the engine.
Chakras. Commentary. Is there any scientific evidence to support chakras? However, the proposal of chakras does not fit with the modern scientific understanding of how the human body uses and stores energy, and there is currently no proposed methods by which the existence of chakras can be shown scientifically. I find this fascinating. We are still living in the Newtonian age of matter. Quantum field theory extends quantum mechanics from single, localized particles to fields that exist everywhere. These fields represent forces that permeate all of space and time. This goes beyond the seen and unseen worlds. These even include the heavenly realms. When I was young, I thought heaven existed in the heavenly realm with pearly gates. My present understanding of heaven is part of the quantum field. You are the universe. You just don't know it. In the quantum field, there's no trauma. In the quantum field, there's no anger, hatred, or any negative emotions. We are trying to solve our emotional issues using matter over matter. By using the quantum field to heal, we are using kindness, love, and compassion to heal and transform ourselves. We are using our free will to tap into the quantum field and rewire our nervous systems and our body. Mystics have been doing this for thousands of years. Modern-day scientists are using the tools of mystics and combining them with scientific instruments and protocols. These are exciting times for humanity. We are on the verge where it will be a common everyday practice to rewire our brain towards quantum awareness. We are only moments away. Yes, it will take time, but the sun is arising. Man will soon realize the harmful effects of negative thinking and negative emotions. They will see the practical evidence of how it has put a man in a downward spiral in life. We have been fighting for thousands of years. Need I say more? Chakra. Commentary too. I find it amusing that even back then, when the dragons learned about the chakra systems, most of the dragons rolled their eyes when hearing this wisdom. I have friends who've been meditating for around 50 years who still laugh and chuckle when they hear about the chakras. It took the dragons around 100,000 years to perfect this wisdom. When I mean perfected, it took long to digest the wisdom and put it into everyday practice. At the 100,000-year demarcation point, the entire world was using this system on an everyday basis. You could say they were light years ahead of us in evolution. Still, they had another 100 years of growth to achieve mass enlightenment the universe has never seen before. Humankind loves to hear about individuals getting enlightened. We love to hear their stories. We haven't heard stories where billions of dragons were enlightened. They reached a point where collectively they all merged together and vanished into bliss and wisdom. The same wisdom and bliss that we pursue are the same force field of the quantum field. In the quantum field, there is no time and space. So this wisdom existed in a universe far behind our present day universe, but exists today. Their universe is no longer existing, but the quantum field is beyond time and space. We are gathering wisdom and bliss from our forefathers. This story of great enlightening has been told since time immemorial. A race enlightened, whose mission is to help all sentient beings for eternity. That, my friend, is an auspicious goal. Does it surprise me that the dragons created Shambhala in Tibet? No, not at all. They love the high mountains plateau. Mind you, they almost had to start over in their evolution, yet they proceeded very quickly to get enlightened. Remember, nobody gets a free ride. The Tibetan Buddhists and ancient yogis got the wisdom from Shambhala to share the sacred wisdom with the world. Chakras. Data versus wisdom. Why do we need to have the practice to concentrate on the chakras? Well, there's a difference between data versus wisdom. Our subconscious mind pretty much runs the show. About 95% of our thoughts and actions run the show. We are like leaves blowing in the wind. A wise man tries to live in the center of the hurricane. When we live our lives like leaves blowing in the wind, data from our subconscious goes to our mind, body, neural networks, chakra systems. It goes to the operating systems, hardware, and software. We run the same tapes over and over again. We hold on to the past issues for our entire life. Our life is on remote control from our subconscious mind. These issues are stored in the body, mind, and chakra systems. In the chakras, they tie knots around the specific chakra. These knots are called klesha. Klesha definition, or klesha, is a Sanskrit term that translates as obstacle, affliction, poison, pain, and distress. Klesha is the closest way of writing this word as its pronunciation, but sometimes it's translated from Sanskrit as klesha. Kleshas are internal obstacles that arise in our mind and cause us suffering. They can create powerful disturbances in our inner world, and act like poison in our lives. These kleshas are stored in the chakras and the channels. They can cause havoc in our lives, not knowing what the cause is. All diseases first manifested in the chakras and channels. A wise man learns how to remove the garbage in the living room of life. We have quite the garbage dump inside of us. The dragons and present-day wise men have a systematic way of removing the garbage. This involves tumo, fire, and exercises to clear these blockages. Dr. Pasang Yonten Ara has described tumo in the context of Vajrayana practice. The psychic heat, druid, is produced by the space particles and the heat manifested from the friction of the wind element. This is another fundamental element as it supports and gives power to the consciousness, like the power of the fire that can launch rockets to space. The power is called midrod, or digestion fire in medicine, and tumo in yoga tantra. The heat fire sustains life and protects the body-mind. The psychic fire increases the wisdom, burns the ignorant mind of the brain, and gives realization and liberation from the darkness of unawareness. That is why yoga describes tumo as the aggressive fire which ignites from below navel, pierces the chakras one by one, and reaches the sky of the crown chakra. The tumo burning arrow married with the celestial bride leads to enjoy the life and transformation of samsara. They give birth to the sun of awareness from the blissful garden of Yogini.
Endocrine system. The following information came from Wikipedia. The endocrine system is a chemical messenger system comprising feedback loops of hormones released by internal glands of our organism directly into the circulatory system, regulating distant target organs. Our hormone is any of a class of signaling molecules produced by glands and multicellular organisms that are transported by the circular system to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. Hormones have diverse chemical structures, mainly of three classes: echosteroids, steroids, and amino acid protein derivatives, amines, peptides, and proteins. The gland that secretes hormones comprise the endocrine systems. Hormones are used to communicate between organs and tissues for psychological regulation and behavior activities such as digestion, metabolism, respiration, tissue function, sensory perception, sleep, excretion, lactation, stress, growth and development, movement, reproduction, and mood. Hormones affect distant cells by binding to specific receptor proteins in the target cell, resulting in change in cell function. This may lead to cell-type specific responses that include rapid changes to the activity of existing proteins or slower changes in the expression of target genes. Amino acid hormones, amines, and peptides or protein hormones are water-soluble and act on the surface of target cells via signal transduction pathways. Steroid hormones, being lipid-soluble, move through the plasma membranes of target cells to act within their nuclei. Endocrine glands are glands of the endocrine system that secrete their products, hormones, directly into interstitial spaces and then absorbed into blood rather than through a duct. The major glands of the endocrine system include the pineal gland, pituitary gland, pancreas, ovaries, testes, thyroid gland, and parathyroid gland, hypothalamus, and adrenal glands. The hypothalamus and pituitary glands are neuroendocrine organs. The hypothalamus gland. The hypothalamus is a portion of the brain that contains a number of small nuclei with a variety of functions. One of the most important functions of the hypothalamus is to link the nervous system into the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. The hypothalamus is located below the thalamus and is part of the limbic system. In the terminology of neuroanatomy, it forms the ventral part of the diencephalon. All vertebrate brains contain a hypothalamus. In humans, it is the size of an almond. The hypothalamus is responsible for the regulation of certain metabolic processes and other activities of the autonomic nervous system. It synthesizes and secretes certain neuromorphines called releasing hormones or hypothalamic hormones, and those in turn stimulate or inhibit the secretion of hormones from the pituitary gland. The hypothalamus controls body temperature, hunger, important aspects of parenting and attachment behaviors, thirst, fatigue, sleep, and circadian rhythms. Pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is a pea-sized gland that sits in protective bony enclosure called the cilia turcica, Turkish chair saddle. It is comprised of 3 lobes, the anterior, intermediate, and posterior lobes. In many animals, these lobes are distinct. However, in humans, the intermediate lobe is but a few cell layers thick and indistinct. As a result, it is often considered as part of the anterior pituitary. In all animals, the fleshy, glandular, anterior pituitary is distinct from the neural composition of the posterior pituitary. Pineal gland. The pineal gland is a small endocrine gland in the brain of most vertebrates. The pineal gland produces melatonin, a serotonin-derived hormone which modulates sleep patterns in both circadian and seasonal cycles. The shape of the gland resembles a pine cone from which it derives its name. The pineal gland is located in the epithelial thalamus near the center of the brain, between the 2 hemispheres tucked in a groove where the 2 valves of the thalamus join. The pineal gland is one of the neuroendocrine secretory circumventral organs that are not part of the blood-brain barrier. Nearly all vertebrate species possess a pineal gland. The results of various scientific research in evolution biology, comparative neuroanatomy, and neurophysiology has explained the phylogeny of the pineal gland in different vertebrate species. From the point of view of biological evolution, the pineal gland represents a kind of atrophied photoreceptor. In the hypothalamus, some species of amphibians and reptiles is linked to a light-sensitive organ, also known as the partial eye, which is also called the pineal eye or third eye. René Descartes believed the human pineal gland to be the principal seat of the soul. Academic philosophy among his contemporaries considered the pineal gland as a neural anatomical structure without special metaphysical qualities. Science studied it as one of the major endocrine glands among many. 17th century philosopher and scientist René Descartes was highly interested in anatomy and physiology. He discussed the pineal gland both in his first book, The Tristes of Man, written before 1637, and his last book, The Passions of the Soul, and he regarded it as the principal seat of the soul and the place in which our thoughts are formed. In The Tristes of Man, Descartes described conceptual models of man, namely creatures created by God, which consist of two ingredients, a body and a soul. In the Passions, Descartes split man into a body and a soul, and emphasized that the soul is joined to the whole body by a certain very small gland situated in the middle of the brain substance and suspended above the passage through which the spirits in the brain anterior cavities communicate with those in its posterior cavities. In the late 19th century, Madame Blavatsky, who founded Theosophy, identified the pineal gland with the Hindu concept of the third eye, or the Ajna chakra. This association is still popular today. Rick Strassman, an author and clinical associate professor of psychiatry at the University of New Mexico School of Medicine, has theorized that the human pineal gland is capable of producing the hallucinogenic drug DMT under certain circumstances. In 2013, he and researchers first reported DMT in the pineal gland of rodents. Thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, or simply the thyroid, is an endocrine gland in the neck consisting of two lobes connected by an isthmus. It is found at the front of the neck, below the Adam's apple. The thyroid gland secretes three hormones, namely the two thyroid hormones, thyroxine and tridothyroin, and calcitonin. The thyroid hormone primarily influences the metabolic rate and protein synthesis, but they also have many other effects, including effects on development. Calcitonin plays a role in calcium homeostasis. The adrenal glands, also known as supraadrenal glands, are endocrine glands that produce a variety of hormones, including adrenaline and the steroids aldosterone and cortisol. They are found above the kidneys. Each gland has an outer cortex which produces steroid hormones and an inner medulla. Pancreas. The pancreas is an organ of the digestive system and endocrine system of vertebrates. In humans, it is located in the abdomen behind the stomach. The pancreas is a gland having both an endocrine and a digestive excretion function. As an endocrine gland, it functions mostly to regulate blood sugar levels, secreting the hormones insulin, glucagon, somatostatin, and pancreatic polypeptides. As a part of the digestive system, it secretes pancreatic juice into the duodenum through the pancreatic duct. This juice contains bicarbonate, which neutralizes acid entering the duodenum from the stomach, and digestive enzymes, which breaks down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats and entering the duodenum from the stomach. Ovaries. The ovary is an organ found in the female reproductive system that produces an ovum. When released, this travels down the fallopian tube into the uterus, where it becomes fertilized by a sperm. There is an ovary, from Latin ovium, meaning egg, nut, found on the left and right side of the body. The ovaries also secrete hormones that play in the menstrual cycle and fertility. The ovary progress through many stages beginning in the prenatal period through menopause. It is an endocrine gland because of the various hormones that it secretes. Testes. Testes or testicle or testis is the male reproductive gland or gonad in all animals, including humans. It is homologous to the female ovary. The function of the testes are to produce both sperm and androgens, primarily testosterone. Testosterone released is controlled by the anterior pituitary luteinizing hormone, whereas sperm production is controlled by the anterior pituitary follicle stimulating hormone and gonad, testosterone.
Let's continue how a human being is hardwired to find God. Many scientists think that a part of our DNA is multidimensional and quantum. We contain the blueprint of God inside of us. From this blueprint, a human being is created. We are created in the image of God. When I was young, I loved to study the great wisdom from India. I still do. The Indians have a theory that everything we do and say is recorded into an energy frequency. This energy frequency can be read in some part of time in the future. There are people who will fine-tune themselves to be able to read the Akashic records from another person. Now recently, many people think that in our DNA, we have a multi-dimensional DNA which contains the blueprint of God. Now imagine in this blueprint contains the entire essence of the universe and the essence of your soul's journey in the universe. You are eternal. You can never die. Your body will. Many people are discovering this concept and learning how to mine the Akashic record for themselves. Can you imagine how incredible that would be? It means that you could stop any diseases coming your way. You would be in tune with God and listen to the wisdom that lies within. You could bring back all the positive attributes you have learned on your magnificent journeys in life. A person could tap into the future and bring back wisdom such as inventions that would help our fellow man. From that state, it would be easy to go from me to we. If we could consciously tap into the oneness and blueprint of the universe. As you can see, the car is sitting in the garage gathering dust. The car is meant to be driven on the freeway of life. Moment by moment, we can drive our car and gather a greater understanding of why we are alive. We spend most of our lives in a survival mode. We spend most of our times living by our habits and subconscious. Imagine we're literally hardwired to discover our true essence. Yet, so many humans are oblivious to this fact. You see, we have free will and free choice. The entire universe lives by this law. At times I think, well, maybe human beings shouldn't have free choice and we would come into this world and never forget our true nature. Peace would always prevail on earth. Anger and war would not exist. Heaven would be on earth. Yet, Life is a grand adventure. We come into this world to discover our true nature and to help transform this world from darkness to light. It's a cosmic game. This isn't the first time this game has been played. For time immemorial, this game has been played through the universe and countless other universes. The entire universe is watching us and cheering for us. They are rooting us on. We have incredible coaches that help and assist us. Yet, they can't take a single step for us. You see, each of us has to play the game without any steps taken by another being. These are exciting times. We as humanity is going from me to we for thousands of years because of thinking. It's all about me. We have fought countless wars. We're living in an era where this is changing right before our eyes. Ponder this over. You are hardwired to discover God. You contain within your DNA the blueprint of God.